Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching the show. We're on Verizon 32 right now, Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. We're on YouTube, and we're also on Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook. Thanks for watching the show. We got John the intern here. We got Aaron Ward. We got Matt's in there in the control room. We also have a lady observing us tonight, and she has quite the story, so a little shout out to Jane. Hopefully we'll see her at our SIPS Sports Bar show. It's quite an interesting story she has. Right now we're missing little Z. Zach Brenner's still working on his Master Plumber's degree. He won't be back till November. And then Chip abandoned us tonight. He decided to go see the Pirate game, Smoking Jim. He's not going to be here with us. So it's going to be a marathon with Smoking Jim. That's Smoking Jim Frazier. And I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We always start the show with what's on our mind. And I'm going to kick it off with Smoking Jim. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
I think I got a pen. Here, buddy.
you got the C. Levine. Hey, Spotlight Player of the Week again this week is, wow, got to go back with Johnny Manziel from Texas A&M.
Wow.
I tell you what, this kid, I don't know if he can play in the National Football League at a high level, but he may be the most exciting college player I've ever seen. He's the cockiest guy I've seen since Deion Sanders played at Florida State in 1988. This guy was so confident. You never know what he's going to say, so they prohibit him from interviewing with the media, which never happened before to a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's not allowed to talk to the media, but Alabama came in there with revenge on their mind, and Johnny Manziel passed for over 400 yards and rushed for 100 yards and lost to Alabama 40-42. But I tell you what, Al, it was one of the most exciting games you ever want to see. And I tell you what, he got the heart of the warrior. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Appreciate it. Well, what's on my mind is we're in a pennant race. We're tied for first place, and it's the Pirates. Imagine that. Hasn't been since '92. I'm just enjoying the ride, Smoking Jim. I mean, even though we lost last night and they hit us, who cares? St. Louis lost. So we're still in the pennant race. It's been a great run. Today was Roberto Clemente Day. They were honoring him today, and they're supposed to do that during the game. So if you're switching channels, we do understand. Missed the Chief last night. We didn't get to see him. I know he's a Bucco fan here, and all you people watching the Pirates, keep drinking that Kool-Aid. There's still plenty of room on the Bucco bandwagon. Don't worry. I feel that they're going to still win the championship, win the division. We don't want that wild card now. We've had a taste of first place pretty much all summer long. So it's a real good taste there, and I'm happy with that. So that's what's on my mind. Let's go Bucks. Now, what I have is I usually do some promotions here. We got the Bethel Park open house on Brightwood Road, and it's rain or shine, October 6th. It's Sparky's birthday celebration, free hot dogs, drinks, you name it. It'll be a great day. They'll give vehicle rescue demonstrations and everything else. So go out there and enjoy that October 6th. Now, Dave Cable, since he does all this editing and makes us look so great, Smoking Jim, he left me a little note to see if I'd promote this. Well, if you go to Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook, you'll know that if you go to the community center tomorrow night, you'll see one of my friends, one of my dad's good friends, Jim O'Brien, will be there tomorrow night. That's the 18th at 6:30. And that's Jim O'Brien. He's going to talk about his brand new book. You got to go buy his book. I've read about 5 of his books. He's prolific, Jim. When you read a book, he talks about Pittsburgh sports. His latest book is on Chuck Noll.
Oh,
you got to read his book on the Chief. He talks about the Steelers. You're in that Steeler war room.
Yes,
this is the guy to meet. I may stop up. You're going to see me tomorrow night, folks. I'll be up there listening to Jimmy O'Brien and talk to him afterwards. And then you got to check this out. It's on Wednesday, November 20th at 7 p.m. This is Dr. Cyril Wecht. Now, I know I'm dropping names like crazy, but my dad grew up with Dr. Cyril Wecht.
Wow.
And my dad told me a story before he passed away a few times. And it so happens, everybody knows Dr. Cyril Wecht was the coroner. Well, my dad and those guys grew up and they hung around Cyril Wecht. And they took him into the coroner's office there, and they were actually checking out the cadavers back then. They would sneak in and do that. And I always thought my dad was kidding, you know, maybe telling a little bit of a story. You know, I can embellish one, Smoking Jim. But here my dad was telling the truth, because in the Post-Gazette they had come out with an article where Cyril Wecht was talking about that same type of story, where 3 or 4 guys would sneak into the morgue and check out, you know, the people that were dead there. So go imagine that. Who would think that would be some entertainment back then, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. But make sure you go to this great event at the Bethel Park Community Center. If you need the address, 5151 Park Avenue. So anybody in the area, come on out tomorrow night. We'll see Jim O'Brien there. He's a great speaker, great author. You know sports in Pittsburgh. This guy knows more of it. So go check it out. Well, that's what I have there, Smoking Jim. Now we usually do revisit what's on our mind here. So I'm just talking Pirates. If you want to revisit it, you can. You're talking Johnny Manziel, so I at least got to put something in there. I like Johnny Manziel. I don't like how the NCAA operates. If you have rules, you shouldn't be breaking the rules. And he's a rule breaker and got caught. How can he still play?
Well, you know, that's the shame of it. And I've been on record of saying that Johnny Manziel is a disgrace when it comes to the Heisman Trophy. Everything that he's done, you know, since he won the Heisman, has really been a disgrace to himself, to the university, and everywhere else. So off the field, it's a shame the way he is. And I hearken back to Dez Bryant, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and who was my #1 rated receiver when he was coming out of Oklahoma State. Of course, I had Antonio Brown #2, and they still 1 and 2 in their respective years. But Dez Bryant had dinner with Deion Sanders, which is not an NCAA violation. And the NCAA questioned him about it during the season, and he was afraid that he did maybe do something because there's so many rules. So he lied and said he didn't have the cheeseburger, and he was suspended for 10 games and never was able to play college football again. Well, here Johnny Manziel is guilty as sin, and he's only been suspended the first half of the first game.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. And 6 of his teammates were suspended for 2 games for doing lesser things, for breaking team rules. So I can understand how most people don't like him off the field, but you got to love the kid on the field.
I watched some of the game, and I agree with you. He's just electrifying, just with what he comes up with, the plays he makes, the runs. I can't believe how fast he is. Do you know what his speed is?
No,
in a 40?
I don't have.
I just think he has that quick speed. They don't catch him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his official 40 time would be, but it has to be below 4.6 or 4.5.
It's not 4.92?
No.
Okay, just checking. We'll talk about that later with the 4.92. No, I thought he's pretty fast. And I think Alabama showed a lot of respect, you know, for Johnny Football there.
Yeah, he'll wear you out. You know, they go to the no-huddle offense, and they just keep the pedal to the metal. And you got to be in shape to play in that system. And, you know, Alabama, I got a lot of respect for them by coming back, but everybody says the SEC is so tough and got such great defense. But there was 49 and 42 points scored, respectively. So.
That's 91 points in my book.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
What was the over-under, Smoking Jim?
I don't know, but I know that Texas A&M was getting 8.5 points. So
you covered.
I benefited from that backdoor cover. Thanks, Johnny. Scored with about 20 seconds to go.
Now, we're not promoting gambling. Smoking Jim talks about it all the time. He didn't have the over on the game, but he definitely had Johnny Football and those points, right?
Yes, sir.
And we'll have another lead cinch pipe conversation a little later on in this show here, I'm sure. But that's enough of Johnny Football. I've had enough there. We're going to go to Sips Sports Bar. Now, you got to come up the Sips Sports Bar. We've been having a great time there. You know, it's just a great place to be. 3024 West Liberty Avenue, 15216. Great crowd up there, great guests. Speaking of guests, we had the Steel City Angels on there with Jerry Chipinelli and Joe LeVar. They come up, and Joe brought his daughter, 5-year-old Olivia. You got to watch the show when we post it up. John, I thought you'd have it up today.
You don't have it up? That's shocking.
He has a speaking part now, folks. That's John the intern.
My man.
But yeah, it was quite, it was a great show with just the Steel City Angels and the information there that Jerry Chip, you can see him on Facebook, Jerry Chip. He said he's going to be back on our show. They're going down to Disney World, so they'll be performing down there. They've been around for, I think he said, almost 35 years.
Wow.
So I think 1,500 ladies have worked for him over the years with the Steel City Angels. So that was impressive there. And of course, Monday night is Pittsburgh Sports Line night up there. You can see us from 7:30 to 8:30, and it was the first week that we ever started right at 7:30. So, Chief, be careful you don't spill your dinner. Yes, we did start at 7:30, and we appreciate all the great feedback on our show at SIPS, getting a lot of good reviews. A lot of people are showing up now just to hear the show and see who the guests are, and we promote a lot of local football players, baseball, you know, soccer, BMX people, unicycles. You'll see all kinds of different sports, plus our regular high school sports. You know, you're more than welcome to come there. If you want to be a guest on the show, we can give you a couple minutes if you want to talk some sports. Any of the local coaches or anybody that knows them, if they want to be on the show, they're more than welcome. It's a no pressure, it's easy interviews. Check them out on our Facebook page. Check it out on YouTube. You can even go to the Bethel Park Facebook page and you can find these videos there too. And Sunday night's trivia night at Sips Sports Bar. Poor Chip, he's not here. And then Tuesday night, we were going to have pizza. Sorry we didn't make it out there tonight. 50-cent Don Campiti's Pizza. Shout out to Don. Should have had some pizza tonight. Wednesday night, it's becoming more and more popular. It's Smokin' Jim's $1 drink ladies night. They're packing them in there. And then Thursday night's the wing night, 25 cents. They have entertainment, karaoke, and other groups come in on Fridays and Saturdays. Happy hour from 4 o'clock, free parking. Great place to go, folks. A lot of great flat screen TVs. We watched all 3 games last night. Wasn't a good night for Pittsburgh sports, but it was exciting anyhow. That's our SIPS report. And now we're going to go to another segment that's one of my favorites. It's Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine. And I tell you what, I had to write this down in honor of a friend of mine, Doug Williams, who got fired.
Wow.
You know, I just want to kind of just go over my career and how some of it compares with what recently happened to Doug Williams.
Okay.
And other than BPTV, PCTV 21, and the Pittsburgh Courier, I think that there was sad endings to everywhere I've ever been. And we'll just go back. We started off years ago doing a sports show in a restaurant called James Street Cafe, which was one of the top jazz places in the city of Pittsburgh. And we did a show there. We used to pack the house.
Wow.
It was a great crowd. And they went out of business.
Hey, they're back in business, just so you know. New ownership,
new
and it's
ownership,
a great place.
New ownership, they're back in business. And after that, we hooked up with a group that put multi-millions of dollars into Station Square, into a brand new Crawford Grill 2. And they were bringing jazz acts in from all over the country. It was an absolutely beautiful place. And we were packing the crowd in there and had a lot of great success there. And they went out of business.
Oh, my goodness.
And
through no fault of your own, I'm
through
sure.
no fault of our own. Then after that, we started doing a show at a beautiful Korean restaurant in Monroeville. It was kind of known for its waterfalls. I can't remember the name, but it's absolutely a great place. And they went out of business.
I'm getting a bad feeling. What's going on here?
And then we started doing a show at the Monroeville Racket Club, which was a multi-level, multi-facility place. Had a great restaurant in there and had the view of the tennis courts. And we packed it in, and they went out of business.
Wow.
And then we started doing radio. And the first radio station that we were on was called WCXJ.
Who? I never heard of that.
You never heard of that, man. I tell you what, it was a great station. The ratings was through the roof. And they went out of business.
Wow.
And then we started to pick up a station called Talk 16 out of Philadelphia. And we partnered up with them, and we'd have programming in the morning from Philadelphia and the evening from Pittsburgh. And they went out of business. And then lastly, we hooked up with Whammo, and Whammo's been around forever.
They were.
And we were the #1 non-music segment on Whammo on Saturday. We were packed sports shows. Everybody called in. It was absolutely wonderful, and whoever would have thought that Whammo would have gone out of business. So my good friend Doug Williams, who called me a week ago Wednesday, and by next Tuesday, Doug Williams, they announced in the papers that Doug Williams was fired as head coach of Grambling. So I don't know what the correlation is.
Wow.
I don't know what's in common. The missing piece.
I'm getting a bad feeling here. I thought everything's good here. Now I'm getting a little nervous. Well, this is Pittsburgh Sportsline out of Bethel Park. So. I don't know what you're doing there. We did lose 2 guys here.
There you go.
Maybe that's it. Temporarily. Little Z will be back. I just talked to him last night. He'll be back, and Chip will be back next week. So I don't think that's it. I think you got a winner here.
That's I sure enough. Sure enough.
There's no doubt. Speaking of winning, Chip does this little thing where we're not promoting the betting, and I know I keep saying that, but maybe we are. I don't know. Chip's undefeated after last week.
Wow.
He's 4-0. Smoking Jim is 3-1, and I'm bringing up the rear, 3-1. So that's where we're at. Now our picks for next week, if you care about this or if you don't, we already picked them last night. Chip picked St. Louis to win, and he picked the New York Giants to win. So we think he's going 6-0. Smoking Jim picked Green Bay and Atlanta. And we just bet among ourselves that it's straight up. No points involved, Smoking Jim. That's for you and your bookmakers to figure out. Now, I picked Kansas City, and yes, I did pick Pittsburgh. So, I picked 11-5 this year, and I think I have to change, my prediction there. But I'm with Pittsburgh there. I'm still bleeding a little bit of black and gold here today. I need that tourniquet, John. But that happens, and we might as well segue right into the Steelers segment here, Smoking Jim. Now, I know I bust your chops a lot, with these lead cinch pipe bets, and last night I took no prisoners on it, and now you own another house. He was all in on Cincinnati, and our good friend Jeff Hammond, when he watches this, he sent me some huge picture of a Bengal, put it right on my Facebook page, said the Bengals are going to win. All I can do is hear Myron Cope saying Bungles. And then he picks the Cincinnati to win, and they win. Same with Jeff. So my hat goes off to you. You picked a winner there, buddy. How did you do it?
Well, it was pretty easy to pick Cincinnati. Number one, the Pittsburgh Steelers not playing well early on in the season. I predicted prior to the season that they would go 10-6, and I still think that 10-6 is a possibility. They have a lot more talent than what they're showing right now. The problem is, Al, just take a minute, is a lot of things that I've been saying over the years and taking a lot of heat for, you're starting to hear other people getting on the bandwagon.
I heard it today, and I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And, I won't say all the things.
No, go ahead. We got time. We're missing 2 guys.
But one of the things I will say, one of the major problems with Todd Haley is not only, which I call him Todd the Fraud Haley, but one of his major problems was the way he came in. And if I was in a new offensive coordinator and had a quarterback that went to 3 Super Bowls in 8 years, during my interview process with Art Rooney II, Coach Tallman wasn't present, I just said, so one thing I want to do before I accept this job is I want to talk to the quarterback.
Right.
And if you remember, Todd Haley didn't even reach out to Ben. It was the whole thing that Ben says he's not reaching out, Ben's not reaching out.
Right.
And it was a few months. And I think that Haley came in and said, this is my offense, and learn it. But I think what you have to do when you come into a championship team is you have to say, listen, I want to make you guys better. I want to take you to another level. I want to get you another Super Bowl. So we're going to do the things that I want to find out what you like to do, and I'm going to incorporate what I like to do that can make it a lot better. And he never did that, and the offense is horrendous right now.
Well, that makes sense. We've talked about it before, and just because his dad was a legend here doesn't make him a legend. You alleged that he played golf, not football.
Yeah, Todd Haley claimed that he never played football because he had a back injury, but he was a professional golfer.
How can you do that?
And the only how you can do that is because the problem with his back was probably a yellow streak that ran down the middle of it.
No, not another one of the Smoking Jim yellow streaks.
But the reason I call him a fraud is because Todd Haley doesn't have an offense. When he couldn't cut it as a professional golfer, his dad, Dick Haley, who kind of built the Steelers of the 70s, he was called Bill Parcells and got his son in as a job as breaking down football video. And that got his foot in the door. The easiest job you can get in football after that is special teams coach. But the second easiest job you can get is wide receiver coach. And so
really?
He became a wide receiver coach because the receivers pretty much, the passing tree is all the same. And after that, he ended up being an offensive coordinator with Arizona Cardinals. But Ken Wisenhunt, it was his offense, and he called the plays. And then he became the head coach of Kansas City Chiefs. And the fat boy, Charlie Weiss from Notre Dame, for 2 years, called the plays, and Haley was kind of a little jealous of the success that Charlie Weiss was getting, kind of forced him out to go back to college. And Todd Haley did call plays for 8 games with Kansas City before they fired him because his offense was offensive. So, like I said, I call him Todd the Fraud because he really doesn't have an offense.
Well, I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon here, but I never thought Haley should have been brought here. I thought if a head coach says that I like Arians and he'll be back next year, that that's what he means. But it didn't work out that way when Tomlin said that. Then all of a sudden he had to say he retired. So how can you have 2 conflicting statements like that at the end of the season? I know I'm rehashing that, but part of my point is he shouldn't have been involved in this. And some of the players that we have, sure, we have injuries and everything else, but what kind of offense do we have here?
Yeah, excellent point. And it was a great situation. Art Rooney II, who I thought would start to bring down the Roman Empire, what I call the Steeler Nation, when he got promoted to the head job. A few times that he stuck his nose out there, it wasn't real good. And one time was with the offensive coordinator. Now you have Bruce Arians, who I call the genius, and they were upset with Bruce Arians for a number of reasons. I don't know why he took them to 3 Super Bowls in 8 years, but all Bruce Arians wanted to do was be, at his age, he thought that he wanted to be like Dick LeBeau, just coach the rest of his career as offensive coordinator for Ben Roethlisberger. Well, Art Rooney II forced him out and brought in Todd Haley, and now Art looks like a buffoon around the league because Bruce Arians went to the Indianapolis Colts, did something that nobody did in football history and nobody will ever do it again. He was named last year Offensive Assistant NFL Coach of the Year and NFL Head Coach of the Year in the same season. And he ended up getting the head coaching job this year and won his first game with this Arizona Cardinals. So So he's already has a game on the Pittsburgh Steelers in a tougher division. So Bruce Arians had a great system. Dick LeBeau had a great system, and I don't blame Coach Tomlin, who could pretty much concentrate on the quotes of the week. He didn't have to do any of the game planning. Now he has to answer questions about, how poorly his offense is playing.
Well, here's the other question I have for you. Since you are an NFL scout, you watch more film every day than anybody I know.
Yes, sir.
Now, you've talked about Cowher's players. Now, a lot of them are gone or getting old. Now, Kevin Colbert, who's a friend of yours.
Yeah, one of my good friends.
Should he be gone?
Well,
I mean, because I don't see much success with players. I think certain draft years, you don't even have any players left that he's drafted.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts there?
Well, like I said before, Kevin Colbert's one of the nicest guys in the world, and what a gentleman, great Pittsburgh guy. But I don't know who's the worst football guy, him or his brother, who's the head coach of St. Vincent College. I don't know if they ever won a game under him. But like I said before, I think that Kevin Colbert's one of the worst general managers in all of football. What people don't understand, when Kevin Colbert was hired, this is the same guy that brought in Scott Mitchell at the Detroit Lions. Ooh. And how did that work out? Between Kevin Colbert, who was a young guy at Detroit, and Matt Millen, they ruined that organization. But Kevin Colbert was brought in here to be Bill Cowher's coffee boy.
Really?
Don't forget now, when Bill Cowher was a young coach, the general manager, which was called the director of player of operations at that time, was none other than Tom Donahoe, who was well respected throughout the league. When Bill Cowher began to grow as a coach and got some experience, him and Tom Donahoe began to butt heads because their philosophy in players was a little bit different. And so Bill Cowher pretty much went to the Rooneys and says, it's either me or Tom Donahoe. And so coaches' salaries are guaranteed, general managers are not. So Tom was exited and ended up being the VP over the Buffalo Bills.
He shuffled off the Buffalo.
Yeah, so when they brought in Kevin Colbert, Bill Cowher was the unwritten general manager and head coach, so he handled all the draft choices. Only draft choice that Kevin Colbert ever made was the very first one when he brought in Plexico Burress, who overslept when they went to meet and have lunch with him over at Michigan State dinner. Yeah, he overslept, but they stayed an extra day, allowed him to wake up, and he impressed them in the interviews. But so when Bill Cowher left, Kevin Colbert took over, because you don't expect a young guy like Coach Tomlin with limited experience, 1 year as a defensive coordinator in the league, to take over the draft. So you could see that every year I think I've given the Steelers a D or less in their draft choices.
Even a D,
and I took a lot of heat for that, but I think everybody around the country can see how poorly they've been drafting under Kevin Colbert.
Wow, those are interesting insights. You got to check out this guy. He is an expert on all of this. He's outspoken on a lot of things. I disagree with him, but right now he's on fire right now. So
thank you, sir.
But how do they right the ship here?
Well,
because I'm looking for something positive. I'm bleeding black and gold right now, buddy.
Well, the one most important position in football is the quarterback position. When you got a quarterback, anything is possible. I looked at the schedule this year. It was soft and cheesy. It's the easiest schedule you can imagine for a team that has been 12-4 and 12-4 in the last few years until they went 8-8 last year. So I thought this was the last year that you had enough influence from the Bill Cowher's players, and you still got predominantly all of Bill Cowher's coaches, and Bill Cowher's system is still being run by the Steelers. So I thought that they could go 10-6, make the playoffs, and once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. But no matter what happens after this year, the Roman Empire's done.
Really?
I'm glad the Pirates is playing better football, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting ready to be the new Pittsburgh Pirates.
Wow. You said that a year or so ago. I didn't believe you, but I don't want to be a believer of that. I got to disagree until they prove it. I got to change my 11-5. I hate to do that. You know how stubborn I am. I might waver at 9-7 right now because I'm waiting for Heath to come back and all these people getting excited. See you in October with that if he comes back then. Why would you bring him back now if there's a chance he gets hurt? Just like Troy. Troy's in the best shape I've seen in years.
Yes, sir.
Making the moves, the speed he has, some of the tackles he makes at the end of games still. And it's just great, but it seems like it's wasted. Then I have a question. What happened to James Harrison last night? I didn't really see him in on a lot of plays and everything. So did the Steelers make the right move and not keep him?
No. The right move is James Harrison fit our system. Cincinnati did him an injustice. Well, how can you say it's injustice giving a man $2 million? James Harrison played all of 14 plays. James Harrison is a 3-4 outside linebacker. That's where he made his money. That's where he made his name. That's where he made his magazine cover with the 2 guns. But he only plays when Cincinnati goes to the 4-3. And he's not a 4-3 linebacker. So he's not going to make the impact. I don't think he had any statistics in the 14 plays that he played last night. So it's really a poor fit. James Harrison will be out of football after this season. Cincinnati doesn't need him for 14 plays a game, and he's surely not coming back to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hold it. Do you think maybe they figured $2 million is like an insurance policy that you keep James Harrison off of Dalton?
yeah, that's a good.
That's what I'm thinking.
That sure enough was worth it. That sure enough was worth it.
For $2 million, you get 2 wins this year. Maybe they're 11-5. Maybe they're 10-6, and they get to the playoffs. You didn't think about it.
I like your thinking.
I think outside the box here.
You sure do.
Because look what happened with the Steelers. They wanted to pay him a certain amount. His agent was arguing about it. They said go find somewhere else. He couldn't, and he got at least half of what he would have had. Right here, he would have had almost $4 million, I think, here, 3.8 or something.
And these guys, they let pride in their agent and their posse talk him out of it. If he'd have talked to me, I'd have told him to take it. It was unfortunate. I thought what the Steelers did was rotten because he had a contract. But, $3.8 million at your age is still not a bad thing, especially now.
One more thing, maybe 2 more things, but there's couple of the linebackers at Worlds, I don't know if I saw him play that much. And then there's somebody that 4.92, that's not his QPA or whatever, but what about Jarvis there?
Yeah, Jarvis Williams, I predicted would be a bust at right outside linebacker.
Jarvis Jones.
Jarvis Jones, what I call him?
Williams.
Jarvis Williams.
You're still stuck on your heart's broken with Doug Williams because
you
talked
to
him.
That's it.
You gave him a player to recruit. Now he can't even go there, so...
And, Pittsburgh Steelers had a lot of success over the years at right outside linebacker. James Harrison, Joey Porter, Greg Lloyd, Mike Merriweather, Jack Ham. But they also had some poor guys at right outside linebacker. In 1991, they drafted a guy from the SEC from Florida named Huey Richardson, who also ran a 4.92 40.
Wow.
Too slow in Dick LeBeau's system to get to the quarterback. He was a bust. In 2003, in the second round, they drafted a guy from Florida State named Alonzo Jackson. That ran a 4.92 40. Too slow in the Dick LeBeau system. And now you draft a guy in
who's doing this
2013.
Drafting? What's going on here?
Well, you know what? They take a chance on some of these guys, and it was a risk. And like I said, I was very vocal that, that this guy that put up numbers in the SEC where all those great defenses are, 49 points to 42 points the other week.
Yeah.
And I thought that Jarvis Jones, number one, only had 2 pass rush. From the films I watched, he only does 2 things. He tries to get upfield, which the most improved position from college to the National Football League is left tackles. The offensive line in college is a lot of doughboys, a lot of fat kids. If you're any good, most of the time you play defensive line instead of offensive line. The guys that can't cut it on the defensive line, it's almost like the receivers that don't have the best hands, they move them to defensive backs. So Jarvis Jones only had 2 pass rush moves, and none of them was real real good. And I just thought that he wouldn't. And through 5 games, counting preseason, he has 0 sacks. And so I have a wager with a guy
I heard.
who played on the only City League team to ever win a state championship, and he was a great linebacker. Pepsi. He scored a touchdown against Berwick that was ranked 4th in the nation when they upset him. But we have a $100 bet going to the charity of my choice. He says Jarvis will get 10 sacks.
I know your charity.
Yes, charity starts at home. And,
I know that charity.
So I'm looking forward for that
little green
cash. Yeah,
a little bit of green.
Little green.
Well, there you go. We got a lot of coverage there on the Steelers. There,
Yes,
a little
sir.
different type of inside knowledge there,
Yes,
Smoking
sir.
Jim.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I hope you appreciate it, guys and girls out there. Call 412-831-3304. I can actually reach the phone. No problem. You want to call in and have a little talk? Little Z said he might have called in. I don't think he gets that break. They won't let him near his phone anymore.
Wow.
So, Lois, he'll be on the show. Don't worry, we're saving that seat. Far end is still open there.
Might gotta get it. Might gotta get a bigger chair.
I don't know. We'll see about that. Well, then we've been talking a little bit of boxing there. Don't we have an October 12th fight? It looks like we're going to be filming out there with Rod Salka and Green Tree.
Yeah, Lightning Rod Salka's, he has a lightweight belt. And I tell you what, this guy, last time we seen him fight, I think it was the last time he fought. And it's unfortunate he hadn't had a fight since. He had some cancellations. But I thought on that night he could have beat any lightweight in the world.
You did say that.
And so if he's anything like he was that night, if he can catch that magic in the bottle, I tell you what, anybody that comes here in the Steel City is in trouble that night.
Well, Little Z went to his little training session last week, and he's supposed to show us a video, but somehow we didn't see the video with Rod fighting somebody that was bigger than him. And he said it was really a great little training session. We'll have
Wow.
to check that out. So,
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
yeah, we'll have to see it. So we'll find out more about the fight for October 12th, see what kind of card that they come up with. There's supposed to be some great boxing on that. So we'll be there for that one, Smoking Jim. What else in boxing do you have here? We were at a fight the other night. You want to tell her? We covered a little bit last night, but that show's not out yet. So why don't we talk a little bit about money?
Yeah, we, me and Al Levine Talking Machine hosted a fight party, and it was standing room only crowd. Next time you guys got to come. If you didn't make it, I tell you what, couldn't get around all our friends that was there. The place was so packed.
Right.
Al, but I tell you what, Money Mayweather impressed me. I didn't think at 37 years old he would beat Canelo Alvarez, who was 22 years old. And not only 22, they almost have the same identical number of fights.
Yeah.
And this is a kid that turned pro when he was 15, Alvarez. And Money Mayweather was just confident. He had a blueprint going in. And sure enough, he just...
Yeah, but the Golden Boy left him. He was in rehab.
Wow.
He took the plan with him.
Wow.
That's what
true.
I think happened.
That's true.
He was with them the whole ways with the Golden Boy Productions.
Wow.
With Oscar De La Hoya. So I think I had the inside knowledge. I wish I would have bet you, buddy, because
Yeah.
you were telling me the whole time. I was starting to waver a little. Then I said no. When Jeff Hammond, my new friend, said you got to go with the age and the experience, he was right on this one
Yeah,
again.
he sure was. And I guess the 37 is the new 27 for Money Mayweather. And they said with all the pay-per-view and everything, he was already guaranteed $42 million. But he says
It's a
after
nice
the
payday.
Yeah, and they said after the pay-per-view and everything comes in, he'll probably get another 20 to 30 more million. He could walk away with $75 million.
Well, I think somebody was saying he was making like, I don't know, $19,000 or $29,000 a second or something.
Yeah, Lil Z was saying that, you
Yeah.
know, but that was the Steel Valley math, so I'm not sure.
Was it?
gotta
We're not
calculate,
talking high
yeah.
school football
Yeah,
yet. We had a little Z session there. I can't beat up on my man there anymore. It was brutal yesterday with all the abuse he had to take.
Yeah, you put it on him, brother.
Did I? I didn't know I did. No. I hope they cut that. Please, John, cut that part out with little Z in there when you do. No,
Poor
no,
Chippy,
leave that.
but poor before Chip even jumped on that bandwagon.
Well, you started it, I think. You started that. So, I mean, that's the type of stuff we bring here. We're not traditional sports talk. We try to promote a lot of people and help people. And, yeah, we do bust a little chops here in the neighborhood. So, hope you appreciate it. And we got more coming here. What did you think about Pitt winning their game that they were supposed to against the Lobos, New Mexico Lobos?
Well, you know, the one thing I can say about University of Pittsburgh, and first of all, a shout out to the outstanding running back for Washington, Pennsylvania, who was considering Pitt, ended up blowing out his ACL, and so his high school career is over, but I'm sure the colleges will still honor their scholarship. But the best thing going for Pitt right now as far as recruiting, because Paul Chris can't recruit. He's deficient in charisma. And,
You mean you don't like his news conferences?
Oh my goodness! It'll put
Were
you to
you
sleep.
sleeping and you never sleep during the last one?
Yeah, that's it. But the thing that will help Pitt out the most, and is Tyler Boyd's success, which is surprising how great. This is a guy that never played wide receiver before, and he's I think the ACC offensive player of the week.
Wasn't he on Steel City Sports World with you guys?
Well, he wasn't on Steel City Sports World, but he was at the Steel City Sports World banquet.
Okay. I
And
remember
that
you
was
were telling me about
That was the
him
night
being
that
there.
we went to the Kumite Classic, but I was able to speak with him briefly before I had
Did
to
you give
make
him
my
any of your
exit.
wisdom, Smoking Jim?
Well, I was checking out his mom. His mom.
Were you?
Yeah, he got his good looks from his mom, and wasn't no dad there, so
no problem for Smoking Jim.
Yeah, so you know, he was just a gentleman in a nice suit, and just a humble young man, and really my biggest regret is we couldn't get him to play for Gateway, but I think that he's going to do wonders for the recruiting here locally. Now you got a poster boy that you can say, listen, you know, come to the University of Pittsburgh. We're going to win some football games because we have Tyler Boyd. We can build a program around. I think Robert Foster from Central Valley, another outstanding receiver, but he went to Alabama.
Okay.
And Alabama was real deep in the receivers, but I didn't see him going that deep. And I didn't think that he would be able to play for Alabama. And Pitt would have been a great place for him because you'd have had those two freshmen on either side. The fifth-year senior quarterback seems to throw the football real well.
Savage has a nice arm,
Yeah,
pretty powerful.
It's going to be his last year, I believe. So, and they look like they got another quarterback in the wing. So, you know, there could be a future. Could be the future for University of Pittsburgh, as long as they keep bringing in teams like New Mexico.
Yeah, but they're in the ACC now. Come on.
They got Duke this week. Come on, Pitt. Get your
Right.
first ACC victory.
What do you think's going to happen with this season? What's your prediction there? I'm not holding you to it, but what do you think?
Well, I think
Are
they'll
they
be
going to
under-
win 3 games or 4?
You know what? I think they can win. They won one already.
Right.
I think they'll be 2-1 after this week. I think they'll beat Duke. And so they got to win 6 to get bowl eligible. That's going to be kind of tough. Probably about 5 games. Let's push for 6.
Okay, so somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Well, I trust your judgment now because you're on a hot streak.
Because the ACC is not real tough in football. It's a little overrated in football. The SEC and the Pac-10 is tough.
Right.
ACC and the Big 12 is a step below.
We'll talk basketball later on when it gets started because that's what we want to see there, no doubt. But the Big East is done here with us, so it's ACC.
Yes, sir.
Definitely. Well, that'll be where we go there. And, you know, we're just talking sports here, and I know you're a big high school advocate here in the area.
Huge.
Yes. And first, I'll be your setup man. How's Gateway doing?
Well, according to Rivals.com, which is the official, forget USA Today, what do they know? Rivals.com has Gateway ranked number 23rd in the country. And I'm hoping that they move them up a little bit higher.
I missed, what did they do this week?
Gateway played an undefeated team, Kiski area, and Gateway beat them like 43-20. So it's a new coaching staff out there, and they're still getting their feet wet.
So they're struggling a little bit.
Well,
I'm teasing.
they're struggling to keep their offense under 40. But they have a kid, Ricky Rogers, that used to play for Keystone Oaks, I believe.
Yeah.
Basketball, football star. And he transferred, his family moved out to Monroeville
Did
last
they get a
year.
job?
Yeah, they got a job close, and they wanted to be closer to their job, so they just happened to move into the Gateway School District.
Are you kidding?
And
I'd never heard of that before.
And the joke around the WPIL, because nobody gives more scholarships to Gateway. And presently they have 55 scholarship athletes, former Gators,
55.
playing college football, which is number 1 in the country. Now, most of them don't get on the field. Gateway don't do real good in college so far. Right. But we're going to change that trend. But Ricky Rogers last year had 2 catches for the whole season.
Okay.
Both of them went for touchdowns, so they were important catches.
Right.
And that was enough for West Virginia to say, we want you. So he's going to play college football at West Virginia after getting only 2 catches for 2 touchdowns. But this year he's having a big season. Every game he's been getting 1 or 2 touchdowns.
They must have saw the potential like
the
you did in plays.
The potential.
Right?
Sir.
That's all that potential you see out there. I knew there was something in tune with that.
But one thing, if you allow me to bring it up, is Thursday I'm going to cover a game in City League, which will be one of my first ever City League game coverage. It's
Where
going to
at?
be it's at Couple Stadium, which got a history with your dad.
Yeah. Matter of fact, my dad and George Couples were friends. He used to call my dad up to referee the championship basketball games.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember quite a few of them over the years. So thanks for mentioning that.
And it's going to be in there, and it's something I want everybody to know, because they're going to play Brashear. Brashear is playing UPrep.
Okay.
And there's a significance with UPrep, because UPrep has a quarterback. Now, they have probably a top wide receiver in the state named Marcus Johnson.
Okay.
And the first game, he had 260-some yards, receptions, and 5 touchdowns. But here it is. The quarterback the first week set a WPIL and City League record. No quarterback. He passed for about 430 yards.
No way. In one game.
With one game. I'm getting all choked up.
I know. I can't believe this is a rarity. Smoking Jim getting emotional about a player setting a record in the city and the Whippy.
A black quarterback.
Oh, you didn't mention that.
And
are you writing an article about him?
I'll cover the game.
Okay. I'm sort of sensing something going on.
And that's the only reason I'm covering it.
No.
And the next week,
Okay.
He is the second all-time in the state of Pennsylvania. Not only did he shatter his record, last week he passed for 537 yards.
Wow.
The state record is 565 yards. So there's only been one person in the whole state of Pennsylvania history that has passed for more yards in one game than him. So I'm going to get on out there.
Mention his name again so we can check it out.
I believe his name is Reed. I don't know his name after this week. He actually transferred from
Sorry,
Westinghouse.
folks. I usually do easy interviews. I didn't realize it was that difficult.
No.
Tell me his name. Call in 412-831-3304. Smoking Jim, you're smoking tonight, buddy. I can't keep up with it. But that was supposed to be my easy one.
That was easy. He's a little guy. I know that. He's only like 5'6", 150 pounds.
How's he going to go anywhere
else?
So
he's not going to go anywhere. And
he can't even go to Grambling now.
Yeah, he can't even go to Grambling.
Your connection's gone.
So
wasn't Dirt Winston there at Grambling?
Yeah, Dirt is still there as defensive coordinator.
Okay, well, maybe you still got a foot in the door. You can help the kid out.
Yeah, help her brother out. But obviously, he's not going to be in. Like I said, he transferred from Westinghouse, which is a running team, to UPrep.
Well, with an arm like that, he got to.
Yeah, and it was a shocker because nobody expected this, because
he never showed an arm like that before.
Well,
in any official game.
I'm not sure. I talked to some of his youth football coaches, and they keep telling me that he was the smartest kid that they've ever coached in youth football. I guess he just knew what everybody was supposed to do. But he transferred, and UPrep knew that they had some decent receivers coming back, but they did not know if they had a quarterback that can get the ball to him. And he's doing things that Dan Marino and Joe Montana and Jim Kelly and nobody has ever done. So that's
the water in Pittsburgh, in the area. I'm
it's
telling
the
you,
water,
those three rivers.
And I'm getting out there and I'm going to cover the game.
What time is the game? You didn't tell us what time. Did they tell you?
I'm not sure.
I knew it. I had a feeling, because if you're not, because I was debating whether to go to Pirate game on Thursday or see Smokin' Jim. I'm going to stand on that bridge above the stadium.
You get it free there.
Yeah, I'm going to watch the game up there, right above George Couple Stadium.
So whatever time the game is, I will be there.
And I know I'll be able to hear him.
Yeah.
If I can't hear you, I'll call you. He has some great volume. See him at Sip Sports Bar.
Yes,
His
sir.
opening segment is just off the charts.
Oh, thanks,
Each
sir.
week you've been unbelievable. Spot on with your opinions and facts there, too.
I appreciate you, sir.
No doubt about it. Well, I think we've covered a bunch of that. Any other high school teams between your favorite? Well, I got to mention the Clairton Bears because they're still winning. I know that's not your favorite team out there.
It's not.
I know you're still not welcome there, so we understand that too. We're working on that, negotiating to get Smokin' Jim out there, and we're not mentioning any other teams there. Anybody else that we should look out in the area that might be a?
We got to give a shout out to South Park, who's a friend of ours, Jody. Her daughter is a freshman cheerleader for South Fayette. South Fayette. And South Fayette is undefeated. They got an excellent quarterback.
Don't mention who they beat. We're not beating up Little Z anymore.
And they went on the road this week, and they played an undefeated Steel Valley team. And they took them out.
Lois.
They took them out 55-7. So shout out to South Fayette, Bethel Park, South Park, and all the teams in this area, Upper St. Clair, that's doing a great job.
Well, here, since I like doing shameless promotions, I heard you're doing a blog for Jody about sports.
Sure, every Friday.
Where can they find you? Do you know?
At slickmoveguide.net.
That Slick Move Guide that she wrote, the great book on that. If you need a moving guide, I'll tell you, I've lent that out to people, but you buy it, it's well worth it. It's a great, great book. Jody did it, and it helps everybody, not just the sports people and young rookies and everything else. I've read it front to back. Just so you know. I know I'll tell you what's in there, buddy.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
You keep blogging that. I want to find your blogs. I'm going to check those blogs out. I think maybe you're talking about South Fayette, the blog. I'm going to investigate that one. We'll have to see. I think we're running out of time here. John didn't tell me how many minutes here to go, but I think we're down to about 7 minutes. 8, 7. He's giving hand signals there. All right, we're getting close.
Shooting
there.
up gang signs, I think.
I
All right,
know.
oh, there it is, 6. All right.
No. Thanks, Aaron. We appreciate it here. When you're doing a live TV show, you can have these little faux pas here. Look that up in your Funkin' Wagnalls, Smokin' Jim. It's a dictionary there. So. But then I wanted to bring up a couple things that we're doing. Smokin' Jim and I have been talking about, we have a lot of interest, and we're starting a magazine called Pittsburgh Sportsline Magazine, and you're going to be hearing more about it. And what it's going to do is there aren't too many just sports magazines in the Pittsburgh area. And there's a few out there, and you have the big major newspapers, but it'll be a monthly, it'll be a free magazine. And what it's going to do is promote a lot of the great things that we do in the area. If you've watched our show, we talk a lot about fundraising. We talk about a lot of the young people in the area that achieve in the sports and the classroom. Smokin' Jim's still into the homeschooling area. We'll discuss that another day. But you do have to get an education, because it is a rare few that ever make it to the pro football ranks. I mean, look at yourself. You should have been in the pros except for an injury. And I don't get that from you. I get it from the people around you that have talked about you in a good way.
Thank you.
So that's part of what we're promoting in the area, the positivity that's out there. But yet we are opinionated. And there's a lot of interest there. It's a way to get some advertising in your business at reasonable rates. We're also going to have a launch party at Savoy Restaurant in the Strip District. They're going to let us host an event there. It'll be October 17th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Again, that'll be our launch of our magazine. So stay tuned for further developments. and you'll hear more from Smokin' Jim and I and a lot of people in the area going out there telling you about this. And it's just a great thing that we're doing, and we thank you for all the great input, feedback, and everything else we're getting with the show. We're seeing all the way from Uniontown, Cranberry, Wexford, throughout the city. We keep running into people. We were at different events, and he just told me it's the fourth quarter. We always try to win in the fourth quarter, 4 minutes to go. So it's just going to be a good thing, and you'll hear more. Stay tuned, and we'll have stuff up on Facebook and everything as it gets closer to that day. But mark your calendar, October 17th, Savoy Restaurant and Lounge. There'll be appetizers. They have happy hour with specials from 6 o'clock till 8 p.m. It'll be a great venue. There'll be a lot of sports people and just everyday guys like us, and everybody's welcome there. Come on out. It's not hard to find. Just look that up on GPS or Facebook, and you'll find that. And I think we're down to our last couple minutes here. We're getting close. Poor John's under pressure. This intern, he's doing a heck of a job. He's one of the best interns we've had. So I hope he can stay with us for a while. Smokin' Jim, what do you have to close with? Anything else happening besides George Couples? Stay tuned to Facebook. I'll put out what time the game is, because I got to see my man and listen to him announce the game. Hey, there's no doubt. He's one of the best. You talk about energy. He brings it.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the Talk Machine. I'm also excited about the magazine launch party at the Savoy. It's going to be awesome. And I really believe that your Pittsburgh Steelers will get back on top with a win against the Chicago Bears here Sunday night. Chicago Bears have Brandon Marshall. Okay. And the only thing I can say about Brandon Marshall, other than being great, is he's nowhere near as good as his daddy. Fred Marshall was one of the best I've seen, right up there with Major Harris.
That's great. I appreciate your insights there, and we're going to be wrapping this show up. How close are we now, John?
1 minute.
1 minute to go. I don't know if I can talk for a minute. 2 minutes now. We're going to have to think of some more stuff. That's the benefits of live TV. I appreciate Bethel Park letting us have our show here and at Sips Sports Bar. We've had, well over 120 guests that we've had on our show since February. Wow. I have to make a list of all the guests that we've had. Wow. We've even had a photo bomber. No, we've had 2 photo bombers. We had John the intern.
And Brandy. Right?
Well, he called it. Brandy's been there. That's one of our favorite waitresses and bartenders, her and Kelly. Every Monday night, Brandy was a photo bomber on one of them. And John told me he really wasn't photobombing when he was over my one shoulder there. He ruined the picture completely. I got more compliments on my shirt, and they said, "Who is that masked man?" So I think he's just doing it for some good publicity. He's looking for a job, folks. If you need a guy on the camera for like home events, I guess he can come with a little video recorder there for you. So he'll take care of it. No, he has much more technical expertise than that. And I know as we wind this down, we'll see you next week. We're approaching our 100th show. Matter of fact, next week will be our 100th show on the air. And this is all in less than 2 years that we've done this, Smokin' Jim. And I'm still holding on for the streak, so I'm pulling a Joe DiMaggio here. I beat his streak of 56 games, but we're still going strong. And I think I can do it. I still feel strong. I'll make it to 100 here, my friend. And Chip will be back next week, and I have a special guest that I met. I'll bring him on, and we should have a surprise guest who's pretty knowledgeable. He was also a football athlete in college and has announced sports and broadcast sports in the area. So maybe he can challenge you with some of the information. And as we wind it down, thanks again, folks. We're getting close. I'm not sure on the time here. We don't have our clock, so have a great night. Thanks for watching the show, folks. It's been a pleasure.